Welcome to the optimization process. So just recall we have seen some forms of optimizations for functions before. So recall that we essentially have extrema on a closed interval. Occur at either the endpoints or at critical values. And then on an open interval, you can at least find relative extrema. And we can use either the first derivative test or the second derivative test to figure out if it should be a max or a min, right? So on an open interval, you can still find relative extrema at critical values. And then use first or second derivative test. I should specify we're looking at continuous functions. So these are all skills that we worked on in chapter 3. They come in handy here. So the general process for optimization problems, just like with related rates, you really need to understand the problem and dig in deep, make sure you have kind of the whole problem down before you go to solve. So you need to understand the problem. You may want to jot down, draw diagrams. Then you'll have identify the variable it is that you're trying to optimize. And then you should be able to write all of the other variables in the problem in terms of just one variable using information from the problem statement. So write all other variables in terms of just one variable. Actually, before we do that, you should write an equation, or I define an equation that relates the variable you're trying to optimize with other variables. with other relevant variables. And then go ahead and write all those other variables in terms of one variable using information from the problem statement. At this point, you should then have a function for the variable you're trying to optimize in terms of one other variable. And then we are going to optimize So you'll find the critical values, find the endpoints, and run your optimization process, and then answer the question. So we'll get much more detail in this process when you do an actual example. There will be some steps that I maybe didn't highlight here that will pop up in the understand the problem section. But this is kind of the general gist. Again, this will make more sense laid out when we have an actual example in front of us, but these are kind of the overarching drive here is basically we're trying to get whatever variable it is we're optimizing in terms of one other variable so we can take a derivative and do our optimization of a function. In the next video, we'll take a look at an actual example.